It is game day here in Raleigh as the Colorado Avalanche head into Lenovo Center to take on the Carolina Hurricanes. Colorado coming in 14-12-0, Carolina 14-6-1 after last night's loss against Seattle. Taking a look at some of the numbers, Carolina leading in all numbers again this time around. Better power play, better PK, better goals for and better goals against, all through that sector. Big note here, Colorado's penalty kill only hitting at 73.1%, which is quite low for a top-end team. But I'll pass it over to you guys. What are you guys seeing based off these numbers?
I'll jump in first, Cam. But quite honestly, I don't really care what these numbers say because Colorado can seem to score at will. The last handful of games I've seen, they were down I think the Monday night game against Buffalo, they were down 4-0 heading, into late in the second period and end up winning 5-4. So, I get it. They're not clicking off on the power play, but man, 5-on-5, they're crushing it. And they got so much skill that I put some credence in numbers like this with a team like Colorado, but not much because they can pretty much seem to score at will in bunches when they want to. So Carolina's got to be worried about that.
Yeah, let me just real quick preface that Colorado does have, I think, the 8th best power play in the NHL at 26.8%. So that's not a number to scoff at. I was more looking at the PK number there.
Yeah, I mean, unfortunately, I might be a man of many words tonight, or not many words tonight, I should say. But the Canes just have to show up and play. Like they didn't play against Seattle at all. I don't know what that was. That looked like, I saw somewhere on Twitter, it looked like the Redvolution days when, in 2014, 2013, like where, Canes were lucky to win 20 games a season. So they just got to show up. Like if they show up, they can beat anybody. So, at the end of the day, obviously the numbers are in favor of the Canes, but, if they don't show up, I mean, it's going to be 8-0. So we'll see.
Yep. And going back to your point, Dad, at scoring at will, we're going to take a look at Colorado's top 3 players to look out for. And of course, it's going to be the 3-headed monster of Nathan MacKinnon, Mikko Rantanen, and Cale Makar, arguably the best defenseman and forward in the NHL right now. MacKinnon and McDavid kind of 1-on-1, but MacKinnon is leading the NHL, or tied for the NHL lead in points right now with 39. He's tied with Martin Necas in that regard. But he's leading the team with 30 assists. Mikko Rantanen leading Colorado with 15 goals so far this season. He also has 35 points. And then Cale Makar, 32 points as a defenseman, just seems crazy at this point. He's over a point a game at defense. But now to pass it over to you guys, what do we have to do to shut these 3 guys down?
We just have to work harder. We have to work harder than they do. We have to skate. We actually have to step up and play. And if we don't skate with these guys, they'll eat us alive. Cam, you said it, and I'll 1,000,000% agree with you. If we don't show up and don't play, and when we can skate with these guys, no problem. We can beat them, because I think they struggle a little in the net. I don't think they're real strong in the net. I mean, Georgiev's had some good games, but he's also had some really, really bad games. So I think they're a team like sort of like us in some respects, is that they just have to outscore teams. And I think that's where these 3 guys are just so dynamic. Of the 3, I love all 3 of them, but the one that in my mind is probably the most dangerous is Mikko Rantanen. I think he's just so big. He's such a strong body. MacKinnon, don't get me wrong, I don't want to take anything away. He's an elite player, but in the grind, in the muck, Mikko Rantanen is just a monster. And Makar on the D side. So we have to control them, and we have to control them. We have to control the neutral zone, and we have to get pressure on the goalie early, and we have to get to our game early. Because if we don't, man, it's going to be an absolute train wreck. So we'll see. We'll see which team shows up.
Yeah, I just gotta, again, what we kind of had harped on before the Seattle game was they just need to control the neutral zone. I mean, if they let Colorado break out of their D zone and come through the neutral zone with speed into the offensive zone, yeah, that's not good. That's not something you want MacKinnon doing at all. Like, you don't want him. It's like McDavid. You don't want him to get speed. What you have to do with McDavid and MacKinnon, if you're defending these guys, is you have to get on them quick. You can't let them get speed. Because if they get speed, they're going to burn you. It's like with Natchez, is the same way.
Exactly.
If you let Natchez get speed, I mean, look at the Seattle game. He literally walked through he skated around everybody and scored the goal on the power play. He just said, all right, I'll just do it myself, and he just skated around everybody. But that's what happens when you don't meet him before he gets up to speed. So same thing with this, Makar is quick too, so you got to make sure you're working on him in the D zone to make sure he doesn't get, clear breakout passes to MacKinnon or anybody else they have. And then, yeah, we just kind of hope if the Canes show up, they can play with anybody. But if they don't, then yeah, it's going to be ugly. So we'll hope that they show up tonight or tomorrow night.
Yeah. The big thing I want to take from here is you have to defend them by playing in the offensive zone. That's the easiest way to defend these three guys is if you keep them in their own defensive zone the entire game, they won't be effective because while being unbelievable offensive players, they do lack slightly in the defensive regard. So keeping them in that, maybe not Makar, but keeping them in that defensive zone will probably be best way to keep them quiet tonight. And the best way to probably do that is to take a look at Carolina's three players to look out for. As Rod said last night, our stars have to be better. And outside of Martin Necas, we need to see more out of this man, Andrei Svechnikov. Kind of a slow start to the season so far. Yes, he does have 18 points through 25 games with 8 goals, 10 assists. But we need to see more. We need to see his big frame. And then going to shutting down the top guys for the next unit, player to look out for, Jacob Slavin. Making sure that he's on his game as he always is and making sure he's shutting down MacKinnon at the blue line and not allowing him to generate any speed is going to be crucial here. But what are you guys seeing out of these three guys?
You said it. I mean, they have to Stretch has to come up. He has to come to play. He has come to play, but he's got to elevate his game. He's got another level to go to. He still makes soft passes. He still turns a puck over in the D zone. And I think that's the biggest thing for him. Simplify his game. When he gets going and he gets something under his skin, he'll run guys over. We saw it in the Seattle game, but it was fleeting. It was only once here, once there, and and Necas the same way. He didn't skate until, if he were to skate like he skated on the power play the whole game, we would have easily been on the good end of that hockey game, but he didn't. And he created a turnover. I think one of their goals, maybe you can comment on it, Cam, but one of their goals, it was 1,000,000% on Martin Necas.
Yeah.
And I think, and to Slavin, and I think Slavin had a struggle in the Seattle game as well.
The whole team.
I don't think anybody really played. I don't think anybody played that well.
No.
Our fourth line was probably one of our better lines. And when you can say that about with the talent we have, then we got a little bit of a challenge in front of us when we got a team like Colorado heading to town.
Yeah, I mean, they're relying heavily right now on Necas and just his ability to, create and put the puck in the net as well. So, you hope they can spread the wealth a little bit with everybody kind of contributing now on Necas and just his ability to, really, he's kind of sitting around right there. I still think he has another level. He's sitting around right there. I think even, I think the potential for Blake to have a crazy game is up there too. Like, he just has so much skill, and Colorado's not a giant team on the D side. So they're not like Boston where everybody's like 6'5" or 6'6" on the back end. So hopefully he can, come out to play a little bit there, but we'll see. I mean, it's tough. I mean, the numbers say, one thing, and then obviously the record's another. So you just hope that the offense can get going and that the defense, can play better for sure.
And we got to get shots on net. We got to get shots on net.
Yeah, I mean, after
11 shots on goal last night, just ain't getting it done.
That's rough.
Speaking of shots on net, let's go to our starting goalies for tonight's game. Now, this is all prediction,
Yes.
by the way. So I predict Pyotr Kochetkov will start for the Hurricanes. He has a record of 10-3 so far this season with a 9.0 save percentage and a 2.55 goals against. And he will be across the way from Georgiev as Blackwood played last night. 17 games played for Georgiev, 7-7, an 8.67 save percentage with a 3.54 goals against average. If Georgiev is in the net, getting shots on goal is going to be crucial. We can't just put up 14 like we did last night, but I'll pass it over to you guys. What do we need to see out of Kochetkov, and how do we get to Georgiev?
I think I'll speak to Kochetkov. I'll give him, it's his first game back in a handful of games or a handful of days, and getting the feel for the game. And it really, when you get scored on the first shot, that's a tough one. But it was a complete breakdown of the whole team, and left him sort of high and dry. But I think he's going to have a much better game. I think he was still working on tracking the puck, getting back into the game feel. Made some good saves later in the game, but I think he's going to have a much better performance early on in the game. That's going to settle us down a little bit. And to your point, 100% agree, Kyle. We got to get shots through. We got to get to him early. We got to get traffic. Decord in Seattle, he saw pretty much everything. And when he's a goalie of his talent, he's gonna stop the puck. So Georgiev's the same way. I mean, any goalie that's a starting goaltender, if they can see it, they're 99% of the time they're going to stop it. But you got to get redirects and just a lot of traffic and muck it up in front of Georgiev to really get started early in this game. And the start, like I said in the previous one, start's going to be important for us. And when we started chasing the lead last night, the game was pretty much over from the drop of the puck.
Yeah, and like I said, we'll see who plays for Colorado. I mean, I think Georgiev started the game, and I think Wedgwood came in. I think Georgiev got pulled when Wedgwood came in. So I don't know when Wedgwood came in. I'm assuming it was after the first when they let in 4 goals, but I don't really know when he was pulled, honestly. So, I know that from just looking on, and again, online means nothing, but people are really pushing for Wedgwood to be the starter. They kind of want Georgiev to go, back wherever he came from, kind of thing. They're kind of done with him at this point.
New York.
Nah, I don't know who's going to start, but either way, either goalie, they got to get shots. I mean, they got to get a lot of shots with traffic, because the Avs aren't the greatest defensive team most of the time. They got a lot of offensive firepower, but it's one of those teams you got to get a ton of shots on. And the game against Seattle reminded me a lot of the game last year where the Canes got routed in Edmonton by Edmonton. They just didn't show up at all. Like, it literally, and that was Rod's famous, intermission interview saying, yeah, it could be 1,000-0 at this point. Like, he was so exasperated by how they were playing. So, and I'm pretty sure they bounced back the game after that and got a win. So we're hoping they can do the same thing here against a really good offensively gifted Colorado team.
Well, that will be tonight's game against Colorado. We'll go quickly. Final score predictions. What do you guys got?
Ooh, wow. I think it's like we saw in the previous game with these guys. It's not going to be a low scoring game. I wouldn't think. I'd say probably I'm going to go 5-4 Hurricanes.
Yeah, I was probably going to go 6-4. I think there's an empty net in there somewhere, or it just ends up being 6-4. But yeah, it's going to be a track meet.
Yep. I'm going 5-2 Carolina winning with an empty netter. I think the defense is going to look a lot better. I think Kochetkov's going to stonewall him in the first period, and I think Carolina's going to get the better end of whoever's in net for Colorado. But that's where we will leave it, and we will see you guys later.